Pedro, an avid Smoothler community member from Brazil, recently shared with us his journey to finding a job in Germany. He applied to a job to which he had all the skills for, like check, 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 and he got rejected. He was in shock. What am I doing wrong? He recreated his CV following our German-style CV template and guide and applied to that same job again. And the results are shocking. HR wrote to him actually inviting him to an interview. The CV had his same name, same skills, they were just presented in a different way. Just like with Pedro, you might be struggling to find a job in Germany not because of your skills, but maybe how your CV portrays them. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that we've seen on CVs. Hopefully you can avoid them and land that job in Germany more smoothly.
Mistake number 1 to avoid is to make your CV too designery. In this specific example that we're showing to you, we're talking about the progress bars that are being used to show the proficiency of a language, whether that is a verbal one or a computer language. These bars might look fancy, but they are not precise enough. They leave too much room for interpretations, and Germans love facts. So if it's with a language, of course, an A2, B2 or C2 level that is actually expressing something makes a lot more sense.
Another thing about this CV is the usage of icons. So now you have to remember the person reading your CV for the first time might not be actually in your industry. So if you just drop the icons of the software or programming language, they might be like, what is this? Especially if they just see an icon that they've probably never seen before in a progress bar, that says absolutely nothing. Versus if we look in comparison to the good example, we name the software and actually use words to say how proficient I am in that software, whether that is basic, intermediate, or advanced.
One more thing we would like to point out about this CV that was actually used to apply for jobs in Germany is the last section with the likes and the multiple icons of a plane and a pizza and a camera. The point of writing a CV is always to put yourself in the shoes of the person reading it and try to convey the most value you can provide to that company. Now, I'm not sure how a plane or a pizza slice does that. Just the fact that you like pizza doesn't tell me whether you're capable to perform your job and match the team that I'm looking for.
Yes, in this example, I readapted that CV to pretend it's applying for a web developer job. So a camera, an airplane, these hobbies don't represent anything of value to the company, really.
In the good example, there are no likes or hobbies listed in that case. That doesn't mean that you cannot list them. You should list them if they relate to your job that you're applying to and actually prove that the skills or the hobbies help you develop your skills.
The recommendation would be maybe don't add your likes and hobbies to not fall into this trap of not conveying something valuable in your CV. But if you do want to, as an example, let's say you're applying for a graphic design job or something that has to do with handling pictures or photography in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. There, you could be specific if you like photography into what kind of photography. Be more specific, like nature photography or a photography during nighttime. Something that shows not only photography, but the specificity of it, which can be conveyed as value for the job you're applying for. Point number 2 is using an unprofessional email or website in your CV. In the bad example, we have that my email is jenpalacios8585. I've seen other emails also kind of like chickygirl95 or stuff like that probably this email you created when you were a teenager and it's no longer applicable to nowadays. So try to find an email address that is professional, that says your name, ideally, you know?
And the reason is rather obvious. The moment your goal with a CV is to get an interview invitation. And most likely or not, that interview invitation will be sent to you via email. So the person sending the invitation will be aware of your email. And if it's not professional, it kind of conveys that if you can't even get professionalism in your email address, you're most likely also not the most professional person per se.
Yes, and if you do have a website, then also make sure that is professional. In this bad example, we have that the website actually has the URL from Wix. So it's something like jenpalacios85.wixsite.com/1509. Versus in the good example, the website is jenpalacios.com, which matches with the CV name
and the email address. Number 3 is to place your information not in the reverse chronological order. We're talking about experience and education here. So the reason for that is that if it's not in the reverse chronological order, as in the bad example here, it is super hard to find the relevant information. It starts with, so the most valuable information in this CV on top is placed graduated from high school. That doesn't tell me anything. That is completely irrelevant and is in the wrong place in this CV.
Versus in the good example, we start with the last job that, in this case, I had.
So instead of having to spend time to find the information I'm looking for, I can actually use that time and scan the rest of the CV to make a choice whether I want to proceed or not with this application.
Mistake number 4 is weak or no achievements in your roles. In this bad example, you see that the only thing I mention is worked as web developer in company, or worked as customer service representative in company. That doesn't say anything at all. It says like, okay, cool, but what did you do?
Whereas in the good example, which is following our German style CV template and guide, you learn how to quantify your achievements so that it actually tells me something about your work ethic and the tasks you've done, completed, are an expert in.
Mistake number 5 is no white space. The maximum amount of pages your CV should have in Germany is 2 pages. And even if you are a junior, but you have a very long history of work experience, let's say you're transitioning in careers, it's okay to have 2 pages. The reason why I'm saying this is that sometimes people believe that everything needs to be cramped up in 1 page. And what that happens, and the result of that is 2 examples that we show here. Of course, we're hiding all of the personal information, so you cannot identify it. But as you see, there are barely any margins. There is barely any spacing between paragraphs. And when you see this for the first time, it's like a smack on your face. And it actually discourages the reader to even start reading and scanning for information.
Yeah, I would 100% agree to that. And it also kind of tells me that you are not able to reduce your content to what's actually valuable.
Which of course means that you should only put the valuable stuff on your CV. If you have written all the valuable stuff and you think, oh man, it's more than 2 pages, okay, I'm gonna expand the margins a little bit, I'm gonna reduce the spacing here, suddenly you start cramping everything up.
Make the font smaller?
Yeah, that means you don't have the most valuable information on your CV. 2 pages maximum with a lot of space, so the information can breathe and you can convey the most important information to the reader.
When using our German style CV template that has always been the basis of the good example in this video, you do not have to worry about margins or leaving enough space in between paragraphs because it's already preset. All you need to do is take all of your time and energy and focus on the content with which you will fill this template.
These are just some mistakes that you should avoid, but by far not all of them. We go into detail of more mistakes to avoid, as well as tips and templates on how you can actually convey your achievements in a way that a German recruiter will invite you for an interview in our German style CV template and guide bundle that we sell on our website.
The template will also come with 2 real-life examples that are a little bit of a guideline and an encouragement to you how your CV could or should look like. You'll also get a technical guide to know how to edit the templates in case you get stuck. And of course a checklist so you can review your CV at the end to see that you have not missed anything.
You can get our German CV template and the bonuses at simplegermany.com/CV-template. Or you can also click in the link in the description box below. Until next time, choose! An avid Smoothler community member from Brazil, Pedro, an avid Smoothler community member, recently shared with us his journey to finding a job in Germany.
From Brazil, kind of important. Mistake number 1.